Fire nice. A.S.M.R. Drive time. Graphene's symbology and history. What is its symbology? Symbology for fire and ice. The symbology for the graphene extracted out from the graphite. Is the black ink substance, or what I like to call the black goo, that is symbolic for anything it touches, it corrupts. Not even just the human race, just anything it will come into contact with, it will corrupt. Where does graphene go after? The number one thing it goes after, not just the outside, but what is the number one thing it will go after? Fire and ice. It will go after the DNA. It goes after the DNA, especially when you want to talk about the corruption of DNA, of anything, especially people. What is the number one thing it goes after and is attracted to is the DNA. The history and symbology of graphene throughout this world, and it's always been here. I believe that it has always been here, and we didn't just discover it in 2004. We've always known about it. Our government's just been hiding it and waiting for a time to say it's been discovered and revealed. But we have really known about it. Fire and ice. The story of graphene goes back through a millennial. And so far we are not up to date on all of it. Now if you look, the research studies and everything on graphene extracted out from the graphite, especially through pencil lead. Is that it can make cars that never rust. It makes buildings flex and bend through different, and not just really the buildings, but just any material, because it was a super conductor, but it's also a super material that bends and flexes in ways that are abnormal to the average architect. Like a building or anything else, it stretches out just like, no different than a rubber band, basically. Rubber band, and rubber bands, fire and ice. The graphene material, yes, indeed, has come to collect. What has it come to collect? Fire. Nice. Collect. And collect. It has come to collect every particle particle of any DNA can get its hands on, or to absorb it. Any DNA can absorb, and that it is only here to corrupt, not to rebirth, but to conjoin, corrupt, and destroy. Any DNA can get its hands on. Why does this go into the future of all of humanity? It's here, but eventually it's headed to come against the human race. Human races. Come in contact to provoke, to absorb the DNA of anything it can get its hands on. Especially, what is the DNA that it is most fond of? It is most fond of the human DNA. It is most fond of the human DNA. Scratch. Because it wants all of us. The mighty ones that would be over the human races, would want to put graphene in us. Not getting too deep in depth with that conversation. Do not wish to be canceled, but the people that are over the human races want to give us the graphene to put into us. At least I say that it wants graphene to absorb our DNA. Fire and ice. Fire and ice. Everything with the graphene, just a prelude for what is to come. But imagine, I remember a movie years ago and saw symbology. I keep mentioning the symbology of the graphene movie. If you've ever seen it, called Creep Show, there was an episode about the swamp bog, or being that was made of oil, and it swallowed up everyone that got in the water and ate them, consumed them. Imagine that. Imagine the same thing with the graphene, except it would do it to your DNA and really destroy it, but also have its own DNA inside of you. Matter of fact, maybe even to clone its own DNA to have inside you and destroy, first to destroy your DNA to have its own inside of you. Fire and ice. Fire and ice. Fire and ice. Scratch. That it would come to really take us all for its own gratification, its own its own enjoyments, its own takings of the DNA, because the human race is the DNA, the heart of this world. Fire and ice.